Hi everyone, Teddy Baldessar with TeddyBaldessar.com. In this video, we're looking at a watch from Tissot with the Chemin de Tourelles Powermatic 80 at 42 millimeters. So in this video and on this channel, we cover watches available for purchase on our website, TeddyBaldessar.com, as a full authorized dealer of all the brands that we carry. So in this video, full in-depth review, final points of consideration at the end. Also throughout this video, if you have any further questions, check out the link in the description to the product page where you can learn more, book a time with one of our dedicated watch specialists, or buy the watch. But guys, let's jump into the video, take a closer look at this watch. Now, when you think of the brand Tissot, there's probably many different collections within the brand's catalog that come to mind. Maybe you look at the Tissot Gentleman, the recently popular PRX that have just made waves during 2021. Look at the dive watch-oriented Seastar, the classic Visidate, and their other heritage pieces, maybe even going for something like the Lilac, or some of their higher-end cost-certified dress watches. But when it comes to the most underappreciated and maybe most overlooked lineup from Tissot, I think that has to go to the Chemin de Tourelles. And today we're going to be looking at an offering from that collection with their Powermatic 80 in a blue dial. Taking a look at the Chemin de Tourelles Powermatic 80 on the wrist, we have a case size of 42 millimeters in diameter with a lug-to-lug distance of 49.6 millimeters while sitting at 11.1 millimeters thick. Now, the combination of the large open dial and restrained tailored lugs give the watch a bigger visual presence while still feeling comfortable and balanced on the wrist. Should have no problem sliding this one underneath many dress cuffs given the thickness of this piece. In terms of the lug-to-lug dimension, pretty on par with what you would find for many 42 millimeter watches. Actually though, this is going to be the same lug-to-lug dimension or right there with the Tissot Seastar. So pretty much the same types of wearing dimensions from top to bottom across the case. At 42 millimeters, this is certainly on the larger side for dress watches, but it does come with a clean and timeless case that leans into the proper dress watch characteristics. I would say though that this is going to be best paired with a medium to larger size wrist without question. The case and lugs feature fine vertical brush work on all the surfaces, extending to the fixed dome bezel, which is polished and delicately beveled. A flat embossed push-pull crown is then going to be in position at 3 o'clock. This crown is also going to operate in typical fashion with that movement inside. First position, you can hand wind the movement. Second position, you can then change the date. And then at the farthest pulled out point, you then can adjust the time with also getting the aid of hacking seconds. When the crown is fully secured to the case, this one does come with 50 meters of water resistance, walking the line of being a dress and casual watch, although 100 meters of water resistance would be nice to see here given the added versatility that this piece kind of exudes. Between the 20 millimeter lugs is a blue leather strap with an alligator grain finish. The strap tapers down from its odd 21 millimeter lug size down to 18 millimeters at a polished and embossed butterfly deployant clasp with a 2-button release for security. Once properly sized, the strap is going to require a few days to wear in, but after that should truly do the job and pair well with this piece. Also though, if you are looking for some 21 millimeter options, we do have some on our site, TeddyBaldessar.com, so also check those out as well. 21 millimeters, kind of a shame. I'm never a big fan of when brands do the 21 millimeter. Totally understand the idea of proportions and things being sized appropriately to the case, but whenever possible, I always like to see 22 or 20 millimeters instead. As we transition over to the slightly domed AR-coated sapphire crystal, we can clearly admire the 2-part navy dial below. The center section of the dial features a fine granular metallic texture with a sunburst effect that ranges in color from midnight blue, nearly black, to a shimmering navy. The outer section of the dial is stepped up slightly from the center section and features a completely different texture. Here you will find a concentric circle clou de Paris texture style, which plays with the light in a totally different manner. The dynamic of the light changes across the tiny embossed pyramid style squares at the slightest change in angle. While the effect isn't as dramatic as that sunburst for the center section of the dial, it does add something to the character of the surface in its totality. Along the outer section of the dial are raised polished Roman numerals at the quarter hours and thin indices to fill in the other hour markers. A minute track is positioned at the edge of the outer dial, just to the inside of the hour markers, and then the dial steps down to the center section. Silver lettering is used for Tissot 1853 text at that 12 o'clock, as well for the reference text above the 6 o'clock date window. Here we find the model of the watch watch, as well as the Powermatic 80 printing to go along with that. At that 6 o'clock position as well, we have a faceted date window providing further depth to that dial, where you will find the contrasting white date wheel with black lettering. And then finally, to round it out at the center, we have a set of long, high polish and beveled pencil style hands, which are elegant and really complement the other dial elements quite well. Visibility and contrast with these hands and applied hour markers against the dark navy blue dial is excellent, so you should have no issues in reading the time in normal lighting. However, one noticeable absence here is the use of luminescent material, so reading in the dark is going to be a challenge, but considering this is more of a dress-oriented piece, I think that's almost to be expected. Now, flipping this watch over, we have an exhibition case back displaying the Powermatic 80 movement inside, this particular version being the Powermatic 80 711, a movement that shares many of the same specs as other collections within Tissot's family of watches and comes with those familiar perks of getting into this movement. Now, really the main calling card for this movement is going to be the power reserve of 80 hours. Now, what they're doing here, and by them I mean Swatch Group, as they are the owners and the conglomerate that operates Tissot and many other brands. They start with an ETA 2824 base, but then will modify that movement by bringing down the beat frequency from 4 Hz to 3 Hz, reworking the gear train and mainspring, and boosting the numbers of that power reserve from around 40 hours approximately to 80 hours. Aesthetically, the movement is mostly finished with matte surfaces, getting some wave-like patterns across the rotor and the bridges, but pretty much utilitarian in its execution. And what you're getting here is mostly just the reliability that comes with these movements, as well as that extended power reserve, which is going to be best in class for under $1,000. The traditional regulator pins are also going to be absent here, so keep that in mind if you ever want to take regulation into your own hands. But overall, just unpacking this movement, it's operating at 21,600 vibrations per hour, 3 Hertz, does feature hacking and hand winding, hacking stopping in the second hand when you pull out the crown to the farthest position, and a power reserve again of 80 hours. Now, a common idea that I throw out there is when looking at a particular price segment, you have one watch that almost takes away all the shine from another watch in the segment, even though that other watch that perhaps is taking the back seat is still bringing a lot to the table. In even rarer circumstances, you have brands that provide so much value in a price category that some other collections within that price range are often overlooked. I think the best and most famous example of this is maybe with Tudor, when you're looking at the Black Bay, getting all the shine, attention, but then you have the Pelagos in the corner, a fantastic watch in its own right, but unfortunately just falls victim to a new modern contemporary icon. And although it's not necessarily on the same level, but when you look at this entry-level Tissot offering, there is just so much available to you as a consumer, where it becomes overwhelming for not only you as a consumer at times, but also the other products that are competing in the range. And I think one of the casualties of this is the Chemin de Tourelles. I think given that this watch is a bit more conventional in its looks, not really entirely sure about what it's trying to be. Is it more everyday? Is it a casual watch? Or is it a dress piece? That all factored in with the immense catalog that Tissot offers creates a difficulty for myself in positioning this watch in one light. Do I think these are attractive watches? Absolutely. Are they competitive in the price range compared to other dress watches out there or casual watches out there from Tissot and other brands? Certainly. But fortunately and unfortunately, these are just another great Swiss entry-level watch from Tissot, which on the surface, of course, is a compliment, but does come with some loaded implications considering that there are probably some other places to look as well. But if I had to sum this one up in a category, pretty much that entry-level casual dress watch with great versatility for a larger wrist, while showcasing many of the attributes that lovers of watches come to know and expect from Tissot. All right, guys, well, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That really does help out the channel, and I would appreciate it. Also, if you're in the market for this watch, check it out on teddybaldestar.com. Full authorized dealer of all the brands that we carry, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support. We also offer a full factory warranty for all the products that we offer. So if something goes wrong, you're not having to pay the bill for it, and that can get expensive. Also, we offer price match, so if you see one of our watches for cheaper at another authorized dealer, fill out the form, we'll get in touch with you. And finally, 9 out of every $10 that we generate goes right back in the content that we're creating here, as well as on our main channel, helping to foster up a new generation of watch enthusiasts in the process. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.